Joining me now with more, former White House senior advisor Stephen Miller and Arizona Republican Senate candidate Kari Lake. Thanks very much for joining us, the both of you. It has been a compelling morning. Stephen, your reaction to all that has taken place?
Well, the Western legal system that we have treasured and prized in this country for over 2 centuries, and that more broadly than that has been the crown jewel of Western civilization for centuries more, in this country is now dead and buried. Justice is doled out based upon whether or not it serves the agenda of the Democrat Party, the radical left, that controls the legal system. Innocent radical left rioters don't spend a day in jail, or guilty radical left rioters don't spend a day in jail, like Black Lives Matter, Antifa. Well, the innocent opposition leader to President Biden is facing a life in jail for a non-crime from a Biden donor judge that has not even been articulated. To this day, nobody can even say what the crime is because there is no crime. It's a communist show trial. We are now seeing an incredible uprising of public anger over this witch hunt, this hoax, this monstrous travesty of justice. The question for the Republican Party tactically, many of these voters have never voted before. Many of them are former Democrats. Many of them are independents. You have a multi-ethnic coalition, black, white, Hispanic. Can the Republican Party go out, register these voters, find these voters who have very little voting history, and then turn them into ballots in November? And if they do, then they're going to win a historic victory.
Well, Stephen, you just said that President Trump facing potentially lifetime in jail. Do you really believe that the president is facing jail time here?
You have seen this judge at every step of this process rig the outcome for the prosecution. You have seen him issue a First Amendment shredding gag order that precludes the presidential nominee from even discussing the fundamental financial conflict at the heart of the judge's profound bias, in addition to his donation history for anti-Trump, pro-Biden causes. Yeah. So I don't put anything past this judge. 34 felony convictions for a non-existent bookkeeping ledger notation crime. This is insane.
Kari, your reaction?
I echo exactly what Stephen said. I think, though, we have to look to how do we turn this into an opportunity to not just win this next election, but win it in such huge numbers that we send a very strong message to the Democrats and, frankly, the world that America is ready to turn the table and turn the page and make sure that President Trump wins again, because we got to turn this thing around. We've been concentrating for 6 weeks on this bogus trial that the whole world sees is bogus, not talking about what Hunter Biden's been up to, not talking about his upcoming trial, not talking about what's going on with Dr. Fauci that Senator Paul just mentioned, and not talking about what's happening on the border and in the economy. And that's what they want. They want us so distracted. I've been on the campaign trail the last couple days running for U.S. Senate. The crowds have been massive. People are saying, how do I get involved? I've never been involved before. We've got to do something. We've got to get President Trump back in office. And so I think Stephen's right. We're going to register these people to vote, and we are going to have a very loud message sent on November 5th.
Well, I want to see if that's actually happening in terms of the polls, in terms of the reaction post that verdict. Let's take a short break and come back with that with Stephen Miller and Kari Lake. Stay with us. Welcome back, and I am back with former White House senior advisor Stephen Miller and Arizona Senate candidate Kari Lake. And Kari, I want to kick this segment off with you. We are talking about the next steps, and the only next question is, what does this conviction mean for the presidential election and a fair election? Do you believe you can get a fair election in Arizona? Let's start there.
Well, if it were today, I would have my doubts, but I know there's some work being done. We're working very hard. We filed lawsuits. We can't fight anything that goes wrong, whether it be fraud, malfeasance, maladministration, after the fact. We've got to get ahead of it. And we have a strong AZ GOP chairwoman who's working on that right now. And we're getting people out there. I'm on the campaign trail. We are getting people registered to vote, people who've never voted before. They're not even being polled. So I don't think the polls are all that accurate for getting the temperature of where the American people are. They are fed up. They can't afford anything. And they're watching our country being invaded, and they're watching their choice for president being harassed by a corrupt legal system.
Well, Stephen, we want to understand whether or not all this new money that has flooded into the campaign will actually equate to more voters, and will we see President Trump win this? What about you? Do you think that is what is happening, and do you think we'll see a fair and transparent election?
We need to fight for a fair and transparent election. That's a task that requires every Republican AG, every Republican Secretary of State, every Republican DA, and every relevant congressional committee to be doing the hard work every day between now and the election.
Stephen Miller and Kari Lake, thank you so much. That'll do it for us. I'm Maria Bartiromo. Thanks for being with us on Sunday Morning Futures. I'll see you next week on Mornings with Maria.